This is Herika. She's an AI companion in Skyrim, which you can have conversations with. Hello, Herika.
Well, if it isn't the mighty Rangru, what brings you to Riverwood today?
Now, this is a mod which you can go and download right now and get working from the Skyrim Special Edition Nexus. However, compared to most other Skyrim mods, this is using a whole lot of new technology, and so the actual network flow of how the mod actually works looks a little something like this. Now, this may seem quite complicated, but if you follow through this installation guide, it's really not that hard to install, as there's really three major components to the mod. The first one being all the AI API services. There's quite a few you can use, however for this video we're just going to be covering two major ones. The first one being ChatGPT, or otherwise known as OpenAI. This is mandatory for the mod to work, as this is what generates Herika's responses. The second service we'll be setting up is Microsoft Azure, which is optional. It does provide a pretty good text-to-speech service, which won't completely drain your bank account. And speaking of money, both of these services do cost money outside of Skyrim. Now, for OpenAI or ChatGPT, you do get $5 free when you create an account, and with Azure you get $200 free for the first month when creating an account. So to try out this mod, you do not have to spend any money, you just need to be able to create at least a ChatGPT account. The second component to the mod is the Simple AI Gateway server. This acts as the gateway or middleman between all the AI services in Skyrim, and it also acts as Herika's memory. This is where all her information about the world is being saved. Now we have two ways to install this Simple AI Gateway server. The first one being our DwemerDistro. This is basically a Linux virtual machine which can run within a Windows 10 or Windows 11 computer, and this is the recommended installation for the server, as it's pretty straightforward if you can get WSL installed, which we will go over. It also has Mimic 3 pre-installed, which is a completely free text-to-speech service. It's not the greatest quality, but it won't cost you any money. And our second option is the Uwamp server. This is a good alternative if you have troubles installing the DwemerDistro, as sometimes, especially with older machines, will not allow virtualization. We will be covering both methods in this video, and even though it seems like a rather long video, we have split everything up into chapters, so you do not need to watch the entirety of the video to get the mod installed. And the final part of the mod is, well, the Skyrim mod itself. This is a pretty traditional Skyrim installation procedure. For the sake of brevity for this video, as it's already quite long, I am going to assume that you already know the basics of Skyrim modding, between load orders, how to set up SKSE, and how to use a mod organizer. We're going to be skimming over those parts. Also, all the links to all the websites and all the files you need to download will be in the description below to make this video easy to follow. And well, I think this is enough of a preamble. Let's get Herika, the ChatGPT companion, installed, shall we? First thing we need to do is set up the OpenAI API. So navigate to openai.com, the link is in the description below, and set up an account. To sign up, you're gonna require a credit card. Once you have created the account and signed in, click the top right of the screen where it says Personal, and then click View API Keys. Then select Create New Secret Key. We are going to name this key Skyrim-Herika. Then click Create Secret Key, and then your API key will show up on screen. This is the only opportunity you will have to save this key, so save it somewhere secure. If this is your first time working with API keys, do not share this key with anyone else. Anyone with access to this key can start charging up your account. If you think your API key was compromised, delete it and create a new one. Speaking of billing, you can also set up a hard limit for how much you wish to spend per month with this API. I say on average for heavy usage of this mod, you can use up maybe a couple dollars every week. You can also set up a soft limit to notify you when you've reached a certain amount. If you want the mod to have text-to-speech support, Again, you're going to need to set up a Microsoft Azure account. You can create one for free, and you do get $200 of free credit for signing up, which will take you quite far with this mod. Once you have created your account and are at the dashboard, click Cognitive Services. Then click Speech Service. We are then going to create a new speech service, so click the plus icon up above. Leave your subscription as is, but you will create a new resource group. Call it Herika AI. Pick the region which is closest to you. For name, call it Herika TTS, and for pricing tier, select it as standard. Then click Review and Create. In the next menu, click Create. Give it a minute or so, and your text-to-speech service will be available. Once it is created, click Go to Resource. From here, click Keys and Endpoint. From this menu, you're going to want to copy one of these key sets. It does not matter which, we are going to do key number 1, and also jot down the location/region which you have saved. You're going to need all of this later. You can also set up billing alerts to keep track of how much your API is using in regards to cost. If you want to do this, go back to the dashboard and search for Cost Management. Click Costs Alert, and we're going to create a new budget for the Herika AI resource group. From here, you can set up your configuration as needed. I say on average, heavy usage of the Azure API, which is the text-to-speech, can be $5 or maybe more if you're really playing the mod quite a lot. However, do realize that you do start with $200 free credits, so you probably won't have to actually pay anything for quite a while. With this, we have all our APIs now set up. So, for the DwemerDistro installation, the first thing we need to do is enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. This allows the distro to run. It's a virtual machine run within your computer. What you need to do is open up Control Panel, go to Programs and Features, click Turn Windows Features on or off, find Windows Subsystem for Linux, enable it, and click OK. You may need to restart your computer. You can also install this subsystem by opening up Command Prompt as an admin and entering the command wsl --install. If you're having trouble at this step, the most likely cause is you don't have virtualization enabled in your firmware. This can be easily configured through the BIOS or UEFI menus. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to recommend that if you are having issues with this, that you're going to want to Google the issue. It has a whole heap of guides online which shows you how to enable virtualization on your computer if your computer does support that. If you're having hell of a lot of issues getting virtualization enabled, where you can skip installing the DwemerDistro and instead follow the next section on how to install the Uwamp server, as that does not require virtualization. Once you've done that, navigate to the mod page, to the files, and download the DwemerAI distro package. Once it's downloaded, extract the contents of the 7-zip file to a folder. I usually put it somewhere on my desktop. Now the installation procedure is a piece of cake. You can read the README file for extra information, but for now, just run the install.bat file. It'll open up a command terminal. It'll take a little bit to install. The menu may get stuck, so just press the enter key and wait for it to finish installing. Once that is done, click run.bat and it'll open up another command terminal. And you should see a menu which looks like this. You need to keep this command terminal open for the server to be running. Do not close the command terminal, otherwise you will shut down the server. In the command terminal, you'll notice there are 2 URLs. We want to go to the server control pane URL and enter it into your web browser. You'll be prompted with this configuration screen. Click back. We then want to click troubleshooting and updater. Scroll down and click proceed. And this should update the web server to whatever is the latest release. We then want to click Operations and reinstall. This will essentially initialize Herika's database, which is her memory. This is one small thing we need to do with the configuration file, and you'll probably need to do this every time it is a server update, but any new configuration variables won't get placed automatically into the configuration file. We'll just have to do this manually, and it's not a hard process. If you scroll down to the bottom of the left pane of your File Explorer menu, you should see a little Linux option. You then want to open the DwemerAI for Skyrim network shared folder. This is pretty much the operating system file system for this distro. You'll then want to navigate to var www html saig-gtw server and open up the conf-sample.php file. You'll then want to manually check whether there are any new configurations in the sample file compared to your configurations file. You can replace it, but because this is a Linux operating system, you sometimes get permissions issues. It's usually safer just to manually put the changes into the configuration file on the web server interface. In this configuration file, there's a lot of configurations one can make. But for the brevity of this video, we're just going to make the most basic configurations just to get the mod working. The first thing you want to do is enter in your API keys within the API key section. Once again, don't share your API keys with anyone. And make sure that any information you're entering in here stays within the quotation marks. If you scroll down a little bit to player and personality configuration, you'll want to change the player name to whatever the player name of your in-game Skyrim character is. And here is where you can also edit Herika's personality. I'm just going to add a small line saying that my character, is an Argonian. If you did get Azure installed, you want to navigate to the Azure section and change the region to the region where you created your API key. If we scroll down towards the bottom, you should see the STT and TTS functions variables. STT, or speech to text, is what translates my voice to text so Herika can understand me. And TTS is what translates Herika's text to voice so she can talk to me with her voice. The default option for STT is Whisper, which is going through the OpenAI ChatGPT API key. This is a pretty good quality STT service. And the default TTS service here is Mimic Free, which actually is pre-installed with this DwemerDistro server. If you go back to the command terminal and copy and paste the Mimic Free configuration URL and place it into your web browser, you'll get the web interface for Mimic Free. And from here you can test a whole variety of voices and pick one which suits you. And then you can very easily configure that voice within the Mimic Free configuration text block within the configuration file. Finally, once you're happy with your full configuration, you'll want to click the check button. This will make sure that you didn't make any syntax errors or mistakes within your configuration file. If it looks good, click save. And that's the DwemerDistro configured for basic use. If you manage to get this working, where you can skip the next part in regards to Uwamp and just get to mod installation. If you had difficulty getting this installed, stick around and we'll show you how to get this set up with Uwamp. So to install Uwamp, you're going to want to navigate to the Nexus mod page, to files, and download the Uwamp server file. Once it is installed, I highly recommend extracting the contents of this file to your C drive directly. Once it's been extracted, open up the folder. I'd recommend creating a shortcut of the uwamp.exe file and then running it. You'll then want to check your system tray, which is the little arrow at the bottom right corner of your screen. Right click the Uwamp logo and click Show Uwamp window. Once the window has appeared, click folder www, open up the SAIG server folder, scroll down to conf.sample, copy and paste it, and rename it to conf.php. Now if you click browser www on the Uwamp window, you should be taken to the home server page. What you now want to do is click Updater, scroll down, and then click Proceed, and make sure the web server is updated. When you go back to the main menu, it may look a little bit weird. Press Ctrl and F5 to do a full refresh of the web server, and it should look a lot better now. Now click Operations and Reinstall to initialize the database, which acts as Herika's memory. Now what we need to do is go back to our folder structure, delete the conf.php file, and then replace it again with the conf.sample file. What we're essentially doing here is that with the update, the new configuration file has new configurations, and we want them to apply. So we're just taking the sample, making it the new configuration file, and boom, we have all the new configurations. Anytime there's a new update, it's usually a good idea to do this. Now if we open up configuration, there may seem there is a lot of options to configure. And yes, you would be correct. However, just for the basic installation, there's not a whole lot we really need to do here. The first thing you need to do is set your API keys for any APIs that you have set up. Make sure that anything you paste into here is within the quotation mark. And once again, do not share your API keys. If we scroll down a little bit to player and personality configuration, you'll want to change the player name to whatever the player name of your in-game Skyrim character is. And here is where you can also edit Herika's personality. I'm just going to add a small line saying that my character, is an Argonian. If you did get Azure installed, you want to navigate to the Azure section and change the region to the region where you created your API key. Towards the bottom you should see STT and TTS function. STT, or speech to text, is what translates your voice to text so Herika can understand you. TTS is what translates Herika's text to voice so you can listen to her. The default STT option is Whisper, which is pretty good. This is using the OpenAI ChatGPT API key. The TTS function by default is Mimic 3. If you went through the Uwamp installation method, you won't have Mimic 3 installed. There's another way to install it, and we have that in our article section within the mod Nexus. However, if you did install Azure, you can change this to Azure right now, or whatever other API service you've managed to set up for text-to-speech. You don't need text-to-speech to work if you don't have any set up. The mod will work without her actually speaking. Finally, you'll want to click the check button to make sure that your configuration file is in good order, and once you're ready, click the save button. So hopefully by this point you have one of the two servers now set up and ready to go. Finally, we just need to get the mod actually installed. Navigate to the mod page, click the requirements, and make sure you download all of these requirements. Here's a basic mod load order of where you should roughly put these requirements to make sure the mod actually works. Now you need to install a mod with your mod organizer of choice. In my case, I'm using Mod Organizer 2, but Vortex does also work. Note, if you're using the DwemerDistro, you'll need to open up the mod folder and find the simple gateway.ini file. You'll then need to copy and paste the output from the terminal into this file, so your mod in-game will link to the simple AI gateway. If you have it set up with Uwamp, it will be set up automatically with the correct connection. And once you're ready, boot up the game. Once you're in game, you can either start a new character or load up a previous save. This mod is safe to install mid-playthrough. Make your way over to Right Run and open up the MCM menu. Scroll down to SPG and enter in the configuration and hotkeys which you want. Make sure to read what each of these things actually do. Now you just need to make your way over to War Maidens, and to the left of that shop, you should see Herika. Just approach her and ask her to follow you. Once she is following you, talk to her using the hotkey you set up either for the chat box or the voice activation. Hey Herika, how are you?
Oh, just living the adventurous life here in Whiterun, dealing with dragons, saving the world, the usual. How about you? RANGROO. Any exciting lizard adventures lately?
And if you set everything up correctly, you should be able to hear Herika. Congratulations, you got the mod installed. And that is a basic rundown of how to install Herika, the ChatGPT companion. If you managed to make it this far, congratulations. We hope that you enjoy the mod. It's quite a crazy experience. It will very much change how you play with Skyrim. However, we're really just scratched the surface of what you can do in regards to configuration for this mod, so I'd recommend exploring the configuration page on the web server to figure out what other advanced features you can enable. I'd also recommend joining our Discord community, link is in the description below. We have a pretty active community who are looking to try and configure this mod in all sorts of ways. As well, we're pretty good at helping people troubleshoot any issues that they've came across with the mod. And that's all I have to say. Stick around as we have many more updates planned for the mod. And you know what? I think I'll let Herika do the outro here. Say goodbye to the viewers, Herika.
Goodbye, dear viewers. Until next time.